Hello, Eve. It's nice to have you here with me today. And tell me a little bit about your perception of vision. I know I work with my clients on vision as well, but I'd like you to share as well. I think that's going to add value to our audience.
Yes, many people have an idea of vision as almost like a two-dimensional kind of a thing, something that they write on paper, or maybe they do a vision board and they put it on their walls, and
Hmm.
that's all great. And yet, when I talk about a vision, it's really a 3D version. It's really around um, becoming clear on what you would love to create for your life, and in a very visceral, how does that feel? How does it sound? There's 3D things going on there. Five sensorize it, and so it becomes very real. And as it becomes real, then we're able to really start to feel it more and start to actually build it much faster.
Hmm.
So
And why do you think it is so important now for people to understand what this kind of vision work is?
well, many people today, from what I've seen, are feeling lost. They're feeling stuck. They're feeling afraid, and don't are really uncertain in terms of where to go, what to do. There's a lot of fear out there. A lot of people are finding that with the masks and et cetera, there's a lot of superficiality going on. They can't even see each other and in the same way, and so people are withdrawing, into themselves a little bit more. So a vision and really looking at what you're passionate, and building something that you would love to have for your life. It just brings the inspiration back. It brings the hope back, because many people are also feeling a bit hopeless. We've got climate change, we've got all sorts of things,
Yeah,
challenges going on,
yeah.
and people can think, oh, it's just too much, and yet when you open to the vision of what you would love to do and have start to bring that in, it just brings more life into who you are and your being, and you wake up in the morning and just rise and shine.
Hmm. Hmm.
Feel, as opposed to turn over and let's sleep a little longer type of thing. So it brings hope, it brings inspiration, and that is sorely needed these
Hmm.
days.
I'm thinking of all those women out there who have built stellar careers. They may be in their 50s and their 60s. And when we're in this period of time of pandemic now, what questions may be coming up for them regarding where they see themselves 5, 10, or 15 years from now? How would you respond to a woman who said, well, it looks like I may be finishing work sooner than I thought? How would you speak to her about looking at her vision beyond right now?
Well, the first question I always ask people is, what would you love? It's I'm a lawyer, as you know, many of your viewers may not. I'm a lawyer by profession, and so very strong in the thinking mind area.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea of what would I love was a bit like it took me a long time to even say those words, because it was too out there. It was almost like ridiculous for me initially.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And yet it asking that question really helps us tune into ourselves, our call it our heart, call it just our innermost, what's most important to us. Another way of putting it is, what brings you life? What is it that you would just, when you think about it, just lights you up? Those It's important for everyone. If you're leaving a position, or potentially in the next 5 years, and there's fear there in particular, this can bring some actual certainty. It can bring some joy. And the fear is then put aside, because we don't have to start to run down that rabbit hole. We can go into something and start to create the next version of you, the next version of your contributions. It's not that you leave what you've done and how and the success behind, you take it with you and then
Hmm.
focus on really just that maybe you're calling in a way that you never did before, or so for some people they start something completely new, but
Hmm.
we take all of that learning and all of those skills with us, and it's like a launch pad then
Yeah.
for greater joy, greater happiness,
Mm.
greater fulfillment, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear that from a lot of women that are looking at what they're going to do. They may not know what their vision is at the moment because it's very different from when their vision, a couple of decades before this time, right? Their age and what's going on in the world. But how would you, like, for someone who said, I really don't know what I love, because she has actually put aside all that sort of thing about like what I love for caring for her business, caring for her family, her children. How would you help someone to get really deep into what they're not even sure what they do love? How would you get them deep in that?
Well, it is a process for sure. It's a process. And it's not that we don't know what we would love. It's just that we, as you mentioned, we have put others perhaps first. It's like we go to a restaurant, for example, and we look at a menu and we know what we would love. We know what we would like to eat that day, and yet we're looking at the calories or we're looking at the price because that's our pattern of how we've always done it, and we then decide from there rather than what we would prefer. So we actually do know, and yet our patterns of thought and behavior have a usually sometimes even almost before we were aware it triggers us into something else. So it's really around becoming a little more aware of some of the patterns of thought that we have.
Hmm.
We do know though, and once we are, it's a process of awareness, and that process stands us in tremendous stead because we can start to become more aware of many more things within ourselves that are gifts that we may have dumbed down for
Hmm.
eons of time,
Hmm.
as you
Hmm.
say, to support others or other goals or processes. So it's an awakening in
Hmm.
fact of the true spirit within each woman. So it's or
Hmm.
each person. It's
Yeah,
beautiful.
sometimes when a woman says to me that I really don't know what I love, I've sort of lost touch with what I love, I say, go back to when you were 9 years old. What did you really love doing then? And it's not always the same thing you're going to be doing going forward, but to pull little bits of joy out of that. What did you have joy? Was it joy being with friends? Was it joy, reading a book, and getting those things to help you to go forward in your vision work?
Mhm. Yeah, and that you're right. Sometimes the childhood, what brought us joy, or may not have been exactly as you mentioned the thing, but there would have been some a clue.
Yes, there would be
We
a
follow
cue.
the breadcrumbs on the
Yes.
breadcrumbs on the clues, right? It can
Yes.
be really fun, actually, as
Yeah.
the process.
Yeah.
So, and a discovery too, if we are open to that discovery.
So
So.
would you say that's one of the key strategies, is being curious, being open, rather than saying, I don't know what I love? And
Well, even if we say we don't, we probably won't find it because words are very powerful. I was talking to a gal recently who said, "Oh, it's so hard."
Mhm.
I just met her. I was so it's why is it so hard? And I said, "Well, let's shift that vocabulary initially because if we say it's hard, we have decided that it's hard.
It's going to be
And
hard.
so let's shift that a little bit and just say, up until now, it's not been easy or it's been hard. And now I'm going to just see how I can what I can open to. And I do have tips and tools and just different ways to help people go into that process.
Mhm.
For some it's easy and for some it is more challenging. For me, it was very challenging.
Mhm.
I had no idea,
Mhm.
none whatsoever,
Quite a
what I
shift.
yeah, no idea what even the word I couldn't even I mean, a heart was something that pumped blood,
Yeah.
right? What
Yeah.
else are you going to use it for? So,
Okay.
yeah, that's where I started. So,
Well, this has been a great conversation with the two of us talking about a little bit of our experience and what we bring to the table as far as talking to other women about their vision at different stages in their life. Where can someone connect with you so that they can learn more about your process? Because you mentioned a process and your other strategies and tools that you provide.
well, my website is one area. I on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn, mostly on Facebook and Instagram with this work, and I give ongoing workshops to support women to actually start to become. That's a first step in the process, and many women aren't even aware of some of the values that they've been negotiating their life with too. So that's all part of it as well. So I have workshops as well that I do.
Okay, so for our audience, we will be putting the links either in descriptions below, or whenever we send this video out, we will give you those links so that you can connect with Eve and you can learn more about her process. Thank you very much for staying tuned with us today, and we'll see you another day. Bye-bye.
Bye.